Hello and a huge welcome to day 2 of this special floral themed 7-day sketchbook challenge. Now today on day 2 the theme or prompt is rose. Now roses are very popular as a subject matter to draw. They're a very English, I suppose, flower. They're traditionally grown in this country here in the UK. I know not all of you are in the UK. And sometimes they can prove a little bit of a challenge to draw as well. You've got the buds, you've got the rose slightly open, and you've got all different flavours of rose as they bloom into flower. So feel free to draw and sketch or paint this rose today in any way that you feel you want to. You can draw it quickly, you can sketch it, you can doodle, or you can take a little bit more time. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about today as just a helpful tip or piece of advice in terms of drawing and sketching something that is real, like a rose is a real life object. I always find that there are perhaps 3 tiers of where you find your inspiration, your hierarchy of where to draw from. I'll explain this a little bit more. So first of all, if you're drawing something and sketching something, I always find it the best if you can draw from real life. In that instance, in the case of a rose today, that means drawing from an actual rose. So if you have the opportunity, you may or you may not go outside and see if you can find a rose in your garden, at a garden centre, or go to the supermarket to buy a bunch of flowers with a rose in them. If you can get a real life rose in front of you to draw, it just is such a different experience to drawing from a photograph or a book. So drawing from real life is the ideal. That's my number 1. If you can do it, that's fantastic. My number 2 on the hierarchy of subject matter is from photos you've taken yourself. Now, something that I do on a regular basis is I go outside and I take my camera with me and I take photos as I come across things. That includes taking photos in my garden. That includes taking photos when I go on walks. So I have a separate folder on my phone called Inspiration, and I use my phone just because it's something I usually have on me. It's convenient, it's easy, it's quick. If I'm out and about, I'm doing a day trip with my daughter, I can just snap a few photos. I haven't got time to necessarily sit and sketch there and then. I'm being dragged off to play football, but what I can do is record the situation, record the image, the subject matter that really captured and sparked my imagination, and I can save it for use later on. So maybe you have a photo of a rose on your phone, or maybe you could go out, have a little 5-minute snap of some photos, bring it back and then sketch from those photos today. And then the third thing on my sort of hierarchy of where to find inspiration is from books and on the internet and other places. There are some wonderful reference books on flowers. Now, these you may or may not have access to instantly. I'm a little bit of a book nerd, so I have a lot of books on my bookcases, and I know the subject matters I enjoy drawing, and flowers does happen to be one of them. So I have some floral reference books that I can just open up, see the flower and use it as a reference. You may have that. You may also have some gardening books. Gardening books are great references for flowers. Or there's the library. Go to the library. Or go buy some books, although you might not get them in time today to do your sketching. Looking on the internet can be fantastic. There are some wonderful references on Pinterest, on Instagram, and on Google in generally. I would just be a little bit cautious about using other people's images, sketches, paintings, and photographs because they would be subject to copyright. I wouldn't suggest copying somebody else's art. Using somebody else's art as a reference and an educational study exercise can be helpful, but I would never claim it to be your own subject matter or go selling that art if it is a copy of somebody else's. A very common way of learning is to replicate other artists' work, but that's always an educational and studying exercise. It's never for the purposes of this is my own art. I hope that makes sense. So that's my little hierarchy of where I would source subject matter, and I hope that is helpful. From real life, if you can see the thing you're drawing, hopefully there's a rose somewhere about you today. From a photograph, maybe you can go and get yourself a photograph that you've taken yourself. And then thirdly, from books and other reference matter. I hope that is useful. I hope that is a helpful piece of information. Something that I really love to do is to assist people like yourself to sketch, and sometimes knowing where to start is a really, really big barrier in getting sketching. Hence the Sketchbook Challenge, and hence all of these tips and pieces of advice. You'll find lots of advice like this throughout my online courses, my sketching membership called Inspire, and my new book Sketchbook Challenge, which is coming out in the summer. That will be available for pre-order at the moment. So have great fun drawing your roses. I can't wait to see what you get up to today, and I will see you tomorrow for day 3. Take care.